Good afternoon. This is the Financial Management online tutorial class. Today we'll look at the Unit 4 tutorial question. Okay, for the first questions, and that is related to the interest rate. And the question is asking you about what are the 6 factors that will determine the nominal interest rate on a securities. And you will find that basically this question is very straightforward. And you can find all those 6 factors in your lecture notes and your books. And basically there are 6. And that will be the expected inflation rate. And second one will be the real risk-free rate. And the third one will be the default risk. And the fourth one is the liquidity risk. Fifth one will be the special provisions regarding the use of the fund raised by the particular security issuer. And we have give you 3 typical items. And you may refer to your notes. And there will be the taxabilities, callability, and convertibilities. And you need to discuss each of that clearly. And finally, the 6th one will be the terms to maturity. And this will be the 6th factor that affect the nominal interest rate on our securities. For this one, is not asking you to provide detailed explanation. You may just name the 6 factors. But if in case the question asks you a particular item, for example, give some special provision example, then you may provide the 3 typical example to explain on each of that. Okay, that is important for you to understand the implication on each of that. And other than that, for each of these 6 factors, you may mention what are the relationship with the nominal interest rate, whether they have a positive relation or a negative relationship. That means inversely related or positively related. Okay, for example, the expected inflation, these factors, and they have a positively related relationship. If there is an increase in the inflation, then so simple, the nominal interest rate will also be increased, and that's why they are positively related. Second one will be the real risk-free rate, and that one will be also positive related. If there is an increase in that one, the nominal interest rate will also increase. And for the third one, default risk, and for this one, that will be so simple, and that will be also positive related, because there is a high default risk, then the nominal interest rate should be higher, provide a higher interest rate. Otherwise, the investor are reluctant to invest because the risk is high, and they will ask for a higher return, higher nominal interest rate. Okay, the fourth one is the liquidity risk, and for this one will be an opposite one. Why? Because if the concerning security is illiquid or not so easy to convert into cash, then so simple, they will ask for a higher interest rate, higher nominal interest rate. On the other hand, if there is highly liquid assets, then the concerning required nominal interest rate will be lower. That's why they may be inversely related. And for the fifth one, about the special provision, really depends on the kind of the provision. For example, taxability, whether they is taxable on the dividend or not. If it is taxable, then so simple, you should provide a higher nominal interest rate on the security in order to compensate for the tax issue. Okay, and other than that, and for the convertibilities, if that can be converted into the other kind of the financial assets, then that will be more opportunity for the investor. And that's why it is possible you can provide a lower interest rate, then the investor are also willing to buy. And about the convertibilities, that will be so simple, and that's why it really depends on whether you have this special structure or not. About callabilities. About callability is whether that will be called back earlier or retire earlier. If you have this kind of the terms, then so simple, the issuer should offer a higher interest rate because there is possible that it will retire earlier, and then will call back by the issuer, and you should provide a higher interest rate in order to compensate for these situations. And finally, the last one, term to maturity. And you will find that the relationship is also positive because longer the time, then you should provide a higher return, a higher interest rate, and that will be the relationship among those factor to the nominal interest rate. Okay, then for the coming question, all of that will be related to the valuating of the bonds. Okay, for the first one, and ask you to provide the definition of a discount bond and a premium bond, and also give example. Okay, and you should define it so simple, and the discount bond is the bond that is selling at a market price lower than its par value. As we all know that the par value is 1,000, right? Okay, if that is a discount bond, and then the price should be sell less than 1,000, and but it will be shown in an index, and that's why the index is 100%. If there is a discount bond, then that will be lower than 100. This is an example that will be 99.05, and that is a discount bond index figures, and that will be called at this price. Okay, for a premium bond, that will be opposite. It is above the par value. Okay, that's why the concerning percentage will be called higher than 100, and it will be, for example, that will be 101.15, and that means the concerning bond price is sell at 1011.5. Okay, and you should also discuss on what are the relationship with the market interest rate with the bond price. There is an inverse relationship between them. If the market interest rate is increase or rise, and then the concerning bond should sell at a discount. And the opposite will be if the market interest rate drop or decrease, then the bond will be sold at a premium. And you should mention the mechanism between the market interest rate and the bond price. Okay, then another question. And for this one, you mentioned all the else, all the other things is equal. Which bond price is more affected by the change in the interest rate? A short-term bond or a long-term bond? Now, before you start to discuss, you should define what is a short term, what is a longer term, and you better to call an example, okay, to define what is short, what is long, and you may, let's say, call 5 years mature bond, and that will be a short term. Another one maybe let's say 30 years, then that will be a longer term bonds. Okay, then the question is asking true about the bond prices being affected by change in the interest rate in terms of these two kind of the bonds, and that's why so simple. And by looking at that, the one that will be affected or being affected much more will be the longer time bond, and because there is a change of the interest rate, and because of that, and you will find that because the longer term bonds, those future cash flow is much more, right? Because there is 30 years, you will have a 30 years in total cash flow. flow to you or flow to the company. And that's why if there is any change of the interest rate, it will be a greater impact on the long-term bond rather than the short-term bond. Okay, that is in related to the time of the bond, okay, the maturity of the bond. Okay, then the other one, a very similar question, but this one is focused on the rate rather than the time of the bond. Okay, and also similar question, all the thing is equal, and which bond type will be affected by change in the interest rate. Okay, but this time is mentioned about with a large coupon rate or small coupon rate, and the same thing you should define what is large coupon rate, small coupon rate. And you may also quote an example. For example, if a bond have an interest rate or coupon rate 3%, and compared to another one that is 5%, okay, then you quote and two example to illustrate what is large, which is small, okay. 3 should be small, right, and 5 is the larger one. Okay, then the question is asking too, if there is a change in the interest rate, which bond type will affect much more? Okay, by looking at that, you will find that no matter how, you will find that for the small coupon bond, and it will affect much more. Why? Because you'll find that for this one, and originally you just have 3%, okay, and that's why the cash flow amount is not much. That's why any change of the interest rate it just affect a little bit only. But no matter how, because the base amount is so small, and that's why comparatively the impact on the small coupon bond is much larger than the larger coupon bond. Okay, because this one is more in nature. Any change, for example, 1% change, what will happen to this 3%? Assume that will be as the same effect on the concerning bond. Okay, that's why this one is 3 minus 1. That will become 2, right? But for the 5 one, 5 minus 1 is 4 only. Okay, comparatively, which one is much more affected? And for this one, then you will find that uh, the small coupon bond will affect a great extent than the large one. Okay, because finally you will find that this one will affect more than 33 from 50%, but for this one it's just around 20%, right? Okay, that's why it's a quicker impact on the bond price. And that's why for this one should be the small coupon bond will be impact more than the larger one. Okay, then another question is also a descriptive question or narrative questions, and asking you to compare and the contrast the advantages and disadvantages of the current yield computation versus yield to maturity calculation. For this one, if you are the presentation group, you may construct a table to compare. Okay, and that will be much more easy to understand. Okay, and for this subject answer, it give you a full paragraph or let you understand basically about the computation. You may compare their computation. For current yield, the computation, the formula is quite simple. That's why it's very simple, right? Compared to the yield to maturity, the formula is much more complicated. And so simple, and for the simple one, it's easy to understand and easy to calculate, right? And also quick and easy to assess what will be the bond offer to the investor in terms of the return. But you will find that for this one, you have the limitation. For this current yield calculation, it is only focused on the interest payment only. It doesn't consider about the capital gain, and that's why it is not fully reflecting the return of the bond. Because of that, you will find that for the yield to maturity, it also take into consider about the capital gain or loss. that will be a full picture and more complete, and that's why that will be much better, okay, than the current yield, and that will cover all the possible gain or loss in terms of this kind of investment. But you will find that comparatively, the formula and the calculation is much more difficult. And because of that, that will be the disadvantages of using this approach. And also maybe that will be difficult for some of the person. They don't have the background of the knowledge of the financial management. And they don't understand why calculate in this way. Okay, but no matter how you have learned about this one, you better to use this approach, and that will provide a more in-depth informations. Okay, then the other one, and that is about the interest payment. It gives you three different kind of the bond. The first one is a 3.5% coupon corporate bond, and you also indicate this corporate bond is paid semi-annually. Okay, semi-annually. For corporate bond, you should indicate. But for government, the treasury bill, treasury bond, those things are always paid by semi-annual, and that's why you may not indicate any. Okay, then the other one is the treasury note. That's why this one doesn't indicate. That should be semi-annual also. Okay, for the final one, that is the corporate zero coupon bond. Okay, that will mature in 10 years. Assume 1,000 per value for this corporate bond. Okay, corporate bond also need to define what is the par value, but for the government one, that should be 1,000, right? Okay, then we can calculate and the concerning interest payment. The first one, 3.5% coupon corporate bond. Okay, and that was semi-annual. That's why you need to pay calculate each payment half a year, and because of that, that will be stand for the half a year, and then the concerning percentage is 3.5%, and the par value, that's why that will be 17.5%, $17.5. Okay, the second one is a treasury note. That will be also semi-annual. That's why that is half a years, and then 4.25%, 0.0425 times the par value 1,000. Okay, that's why the concerning interest payment will be $21.25. Okay, the last one, so simple, zero coupon, 0%. Okay, that's why no interest will be given, so be zero. Okay, then the calculation is quite straightforward. Okay, then another one about the current yield. For this one, about the current yield of a corporate bond. Okay, 3.8%, quote at a price of 102.08. Okay, for this one, it's so simple, and you just make use of this current yield percentage over the price index, and you can work out the concerning current yield, and that will be 3.72%. Okay, and using the coupon bond rate and over the bond price, and you will find out the figures. Okay, and then the other one, that will be the bond price and the interest rate change, and there is a calculation what will be the bond price change if there is an interest rate change on the market. That means the market interest rate change. Okay, originally you will find that the coupon bond have 6.5% and have 14 years left to maturities, and now priced to offer a 7.2% yield to maturities. And you believe 1 year, that means 1 year later, the yield to maturity will drop to 6.8% only. And what is the change in the price of the bond will experience in the dollar value? Okay, that means if the market interest rate drop from 7.2 to 6.8%, what will be the bond price? By looking at that, they are inversely related, right? Inversely related. And because of that, if there is a market interest rate drop, so simple. One drop, the other should be increased, right? Okay, that's why finally, and you will find that you will give a conclusion. There will be an increase in the bond price, okay? And that's why by looking at that, it give you all the information. First of all, you will work out the half a year interest payment first. Okay, because there is a 6.5% coupon rate, right? Okay, that's why $65 per year. And half a year, that's why that will be 32.5, right? 32.5. Okay, half a year. Okay, and that's why, because of that, that is the regular payment, PMT. And then you can substitute to the formula to work out. And remember, we calculate the interest rate, and if that is the market interest rate is 7.2, that's why half of that will be 36, or 7.2 divided by 2, that will be 0.036. And then remember the concerning time, that should be 14 times 2, okay, half a year, right? Okay, then the same for the principal, that will be 1,000, the par value, okay, and then compound to 28 times. And finally, the bond price should be at 938.89. Okay, then the question mentioned after 1 year, you will drop in the market interest rate. And because of that, you are required to work out another part that will be 1 year later. Okay, the same PMT, every half a year you will receive this interest, right? Then, but that is 1 year later. That's why that will be 13 years times 2. Finally, you got 26. And then the concerning rate is 6.8, right? Market interest. Okay, that's why divided by 2. That will be 0.034. The same for the par value and those things. And finally, the bond price will become 974.38. Okay, and then so simple. 1 year later, it becomes that, and 1 year before is that amount. That's why it will be increased by 35.49. Okay, you should mention there is an increase. Okay, increase. Okay. And also, if you are not using the formula to calculate the figures, show all this information now. The number of years, that will be 14.2, 14 times 2. And this one, the same for these figures, okay? And then the payment, and then the par value, and then you calculate the amount of the bond price. And then 1 year later, the same approach. And you should work out the figure that will be equal to 1 year later, right? 13.2, sorry, 13.2, and then that will be 6.8, okay, divided by 2, and then the regular payment, par value, finally you got all these figures, okay, and then make a conclusion. There is an increase in price, 35.49. Okay, then that is the last question, yield to maturities. Okay, for this one it's quite simple and straightforward. They let you know about the coupon bond percentage is 4.3%. With 14 years to left to maturity is offer sell at 943.22. Should be a discount bond, right? Okay, what yield to maturity is the bond offering, and ask you about the interest rate and what is the interest rate of the yield to maturity. And that's why for this one you may make use of your formula to work out the figures, but preferably you can use your financial calculator. Okay, and that one is the 14 years to maturity, right? Semi-annual time 2. Okay, 14 times 2, 28. The par value, that is the discount bond, right? And currently is the person selling at these figures 943.22, and the regular payment that will be related to the coupon rate and 43 per year and divided by 2, and that will be 31.5, and the par value is 1,000, and you compute the I. Okay, that will be 2.432. But be careful, that is stand for half a year. And finally, you need to convert it back to year, and then that will be the yield to maturity. Yield to maturity should be an annual interest rate. Okay, that's why. And you convert it into the yield to maturities, that will be time 2, and that will be 4.86%. Okay, and that will be the calculations. Okay, that's all for all the tutorial questions. Okay, if you have any question, you may ask me through the chat room. Okay, and that's all for this part.